Jesus Christ. Where the hell is my fence? I mean, 200 feet of cedar gone, the fence I built for Mara before she died, the one where her climbing roses were supposed to live. I'm standing barefoot in the driveway at 6 a.m., gravel digging into my soles, breathing diesel and crushed rosemary, staring at tire tracks that turn her herb bed into a moonscape. And there's the smell of engine oil and a white Lexus idling like it owns the morning. Post with a manicured fingernail and says, your fence blocked our easement. Her easement. I swear to God I'm an engineer. I checked every covenant 3 times. There is no easement. She is lying. And in that moment, watching her smile that could cut glass, I decide I'm not going to let her get away with it. This didn't start as some epic HOA war. It started with grief and a journal. When Mara died ovarian cancer, I sold the Denver place, bought a corner lot in Pinewood Trails, a sliver of peace an hour outside the city. Mara had sketched a garden in her journal 3 weeks before she died. Raised beds, a spiral herb patch, pale pink climbing roses that smelled like apples. I built that fence 8 feet inside my property line, 200 feet of tongue and groove cedar, because she wanted privacy and because I needed to do something with my hands that wasn't just remembering. Bryn had been the HOA president for 6 years. Married to Garrett, an HOA lawyer. Convenient, right? She ran the neighborhood like a boutique dictatorship. Emails full of blessings, right before threats, fines for the exact wrong shade of bird feeder citations, so petty they make you laugh until you realize they're not jokes. She cited Phyllis because her bird feeder was beige instead of tan. Beige instead of tan. That was the taste level we were dealing with. 3 months after I moved in, I got a $200 ticket for parking my F-250 overnight. I showed up at a board meeting with photographs, landscaping trailers, plumber vans, legit violations, and the board dismissed it 4-1. Bryn's line was, some homeowners understand community standards. Translation, some of you belong here, some of you don't. Phyllis pulled me aside and said in that small-town way that reveals everything, your last name sounds different. I'm half Puerto Rican. Mara was white. Those little sentences stack up like a wall. When I returned from Denver on August 15th, Mara's birthday, the fence was amputated. A bobcat had gouged a 15-foot corridor right through her rosemary bed. The posts were ripped out like teeth, splinters everywhere, diesel fumes in my throat. My security footage shows Bryn at 5:58 a.m., standing there directing 3 men with bolt cutters pointing as they ripped it out, and then the bobcat rolling the trench smooth exactly 15 feet wide. County Code Emergency Access Roads 15 feet. Coincidence? Not a chance. 2 days later, I get an invoice, emergency abatement $4,200 from the HOA. I checked the covenants at the county recorder's office myself because I measure, I don't guess. Pinewood Trails covenants filed 2018. Pinewood LLC dissolved 2021. Nothing about emergency easements, nothing giving anyone the right to grade my land. I paid $18 for certified copies and read them in my truck like a man studying a map to a treasure he didn't want to find. I built a binder. Certified copies, surveyor affidavit proving the fence sat 8 feet inside my line, security footage with timestamps, invoices, everything. My case was neat, the kind of clean structural work my old life runs on. I walked into the HOA meeting with that binder and put it on the table while Bryn delivered her golden honey speech about safety hazards. She held up a document that looked right-scanned official, and I asked to see it. She blinked. Garrett leaned forward, legal pad at the ready, faintly smug. I played the records. Covenant 14.7b mailbox placements and colors. Nothing else. The room shifted. Sandra, the retired teacher, started to read. Michelle, the nurse, leaned in. I played the video. There she is, directing the crew, the crack of posts, the diesel belch. By the end of it, 4 of the 5 board members voted to reimburse me $820 for the fence and $420 for the bogus invoice. Bryn stormed out, Garrett trailing, both furious. Luther pulled me aside. She doesn't lose. Watch yourself. 3 weeks later, my insurance company calls. There's a lien against my property for $18,750 in unpaid HOA assessments from 2019, filed 3 days ago by Garrett Caldwell. I sit there with a coffee halfway to my mouth and realize I didn't own this place in 2019. A lien can tank your insurance, ruin your credit. Simone Park, a lawyer. Luther recommended sharp, no-nonsense looks at the paperwork and says, retaliation, fraud. But to fight it, we need a deposit for court and it will take months. We file an ethics complaint. We make them squirm. She files the Colorado bar complaint against Garrett within 2 days. Then the phone rings. The Hendersons, she foreclosed on them over a $200 fee that somehow became $8,000 in penalties. Keisha fined for the exact wrong beige, forced to repaint for $4,000. Marcus, a veteran, fined for a flagpole $2,400. None of them stood a chance alone. But together over coffee and engine oil at Luther's garage, 11 of us pooled money, formed the Pinewood Community Land Trust LLC, and put our names on a plan to buy the 40-acre parcel behind my property, the very parcel Bryn had been trying to use as her backdoor development. Wallace Drummond, a retired dentist in Florida, owned it, and as it turned out was done being pestered by lowball offers and harassment. He'd called Bryn attractive offers for 4 years and was tired. We scraped, begged, rearranged Mara's life insurance, Cass's grad fund donations, small loans. Simone covered the last $17,000 because, as she said, this is pro bono and also delicious. We closed October 18th. Simultaneously, we recorded a conservation easement. The 40 acres would remain wild forever. No roads, no condos, no access. I wrote in Mara's journal margin, 40 acres forever wild for you. Bryn had already spent years pitching developers promising access. She'd filed variance after variance and kept getting denied because county code requires documented access. Her solution was always bully or buy. She chose bully. She cut my fence. She filed fake claims. She tried to scare contractors away. They canceled contracts. My work dried up. She even resorted to vandalism, nails on my driveway, punctured tires, a busted mailbox. Trevor, her son, caught on camera sneaking into my yard at night with a can of tuna and a mission. He said, Mom said, make his life hell. We have footage. We filed a police report. Kowalski, the officer who'd seen Bryn's history, promised to have a conversation. Once the land transfer went through and the easement recorded, Bryn still tried a last-ditch move, a homeowner vote on Proposition 7, an emergency bylaw amendment that would have allowed the board to approve easements across private property without owner consent. Emergency vote scheduled for the night before the variance hearing, sneaky tight time to steal the finish line. Simone told me the law, you can't override property rights that easily, but court battles take time. There was another lever, quorum rules. Emergency amendments needed 50% participation, 124 homeowners. If fewer showed up, the vote failed. So I organized. I called everyone I could. We decided not to vote. We would show up, sit quietly, and when Bryn called the vote, we would stand and walk out, polite, silent, effective. 67 of us left the room in one motion when she asked for hands. The count fell below quorum. Proposition 7 died on the spot. Garrett looked like he'd swallowed ice. Bryn screamed about sabotage. For once, silence was the loudest thing in a room. The next morning at the county planning hearing, Bryn presented her secured informal access arrangements. The planner asked me if I'd agreed. I hadn't. Wallace's deed and the conservation easement were on the screen. The commission denied her variance. She admitted on record she'd taken developer deposits and couldn't deliver. That was the moment everything she'd spent 4 years cooking up blew up in her face. Ethics complaints, developer lawsuits, settlement sales of rental properties, Garrett suspended by the bar. HOA elections the next month put Luther, Phyllis, and Keisha in charge. They repealed many of Bryn's punitive bylaws. Community forgave small fines. The neighborhood exhaled. We broke ground in the Harlow Memorial Conservation Area with 40 people, a cedar sign, and a county commissioner who'd voted against her. Kids ran the trails, the FFA finished the loop, and Phyllis grew tomatoes in a raised bed set at wheelchair height. We gave 40 garden plots to elderly residents, low-income families, teachers. Marcus started a patch for the food bank, and we harvested 800 pounds the first season. Mara's heirloom tomato seeds, her variety, went into every packet. We started a small scholarship. The land became a thing that healed people in a way a lawsuit never could. What did I learn? That bullies count on isolation. They bank on you getting tired paying folding. Most people do. Bryn gambled that threats, lies, and small cruelties would wear me down. She assumed exhaustion would equal surrender. But sometimes the thing that wins isn't the loudest or the richest move. Sometimes it's paperwork, persistence, and neighbors who finally decide enough is enough. You document, you organize, you show up, and you buy what they want first. So here's the question I want to leave you with and really mull over when someone in your community crosses the line. Do you fight the bully alone, or do you build a story that brings other people into the fight? What does justice look like when power is stacked against you? Legal victory or a repaired, kinder neighborhood? Tell me where you stand. I want to hear if you've ever stared down a small tyrant and what happened. Share your story.